What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more r/am I the butthole? And if you'd like to skip that initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along a timeline below. But if you are new here, please consider just clicking that like button, maybe the subscribe too, and maybe, just maybe, that notification bell, as it all massively helps us out. And let's just crack straight on with today's stories. Now, our first story does follow with an update, so we're going to cover the original first and then move on to the update. And it's from Maybe Asking, and it's called Am I the Arsehole for Not Wanting to Change My Last Name Like My Siblings? It's me, 16 male, and my 3 other siblings. Jordan, 19 male, my twin brother Lewis, 16 male, and my sister Bella, 14 female. Our parents got divorced 4 years ago. My dad was cheating on my mum. He came out and he told us, so they split. We were all mad at my dad for a while, especially me, because we were always close, so it hurt knowing he did this. We didn't talk for a year. He said he'd give me space till I was ready, then after that we started talking again. He only had us a few days out of the week, but that changed a while back. My brother and my sister decided they didn't want to go with him at all, so they stayed at mum's full time. He only sees them every other weekend. I'm the only one that wanted to get split custody, so like 1 week with him, then 1 week with mum, which they were all mad at. They still hate my dad for cheating, I get it, because to me, I haven't looked at him the same, but not mad anymore because it happened already years ago. After they broke up, my mum started going out with my stepdad, Martin. They got married last year, right before lockdown, but he was already living with us a long time. We don't talk much, but he's chill. They do more stuff with him than I do because they have more time than me. And they like him a lot, and I do too. Before Father's Day, my siblings and my mum came to me about a surprise they wanted to do for Martin, and the surprise was all of us changing our last names to his. Everyone wanted to, but I said no, I like having my last name. They can do it obviously, but I'm not interested. That got everyone mad, especially my mum. She talks a lot of shit about my dad all the time, so she asked me why I still want to have a last name of a piece of shit. I told her he's still my dad. He cheated, but he still always tries to be a good dad, so I don't hold that against him anymore. We have these fights all the time whenever I'm going to his house, so I just got tired and ignored them. But they bugged me a lot about doing the change with them because it would mean a lot to Martin if we all did. I wasn't even there for Father's Day. I went to my dad's, and they're mad I ruined it since they wanted it to be an everyone thing, and I'm the only one not changing my last name now. I don't know why they think I'm being an arsehole for not wanting to change my last name, just because of what my dad did a long time ago already, and it's not like I consider Martin my dad. They're acting like I am, so am I? Organic extension said, not the arsehole. Your dad might have cheated, but your mother is the arsehole for getting kids in the middle of all of this. DD Ra says, not the arsehole. While your dad was a bad husband to your mum, you consider him to be a good father to you. If you want to keep his last name, that's perfectly fine. Even if your dad was terrible to you. If you don't want to change your last name, you don't have to. Revolutionary C says, not the arsehole. What will happen when Martin disappoints them or his relationship with your mum sours? What if Martin cheats on her in the future? I have a relative who was like this with their very blended family, basically pressing the kids to all change their last names till every single one of them did, even though everyone's other bio parent was still alive. I always thought it was not healthy. Red Wing fan says, not the arsehole. It is frankly bizarre that your siblings want to change their last name to Martin's, especially at their ages. It makes me wonder whether Martin is some sort of sociopath, or maybe your mum is. You should not apologize for keeping your father's last name. I suggest not discussing the matter with any of them again. And we'll finish off with Rumble and saying, not the arsehole, your name, your call. Ask the rest of them to piss off. Now we'll move on to the update to see what it says. And let's hope for a positive one here, guys, to start us off. So, update. Shit got kind of worse since my first post. Everyone being hostile at home, all of a sudden because I still didn't want to change my last name, like they all were. My brothers being mean and my sis ignoring, then my mum being all cold and shit. Even Martin, I assume it was, not Mark, too, was actually different because now he sees I don't want him to be family. I did think a lot, especially what lots of people were saying about parental alienation. I looked it up and man, it's crazy. Just stuff clicked that my mum been doing and how things are now. So in the end, I decided to tell my dad I don't want to be there anymore and told him what's been happening. Like what my mum says, he knows about the name change. He's fine if everyone else wants to do it, but if I don't want to, he's not going to allow it. Him and my mum got into a big fight over it, and she got mad at me for involving him. Even more drama. We had a whole family meeting, so that's where I told my mum I don't want to be there if this is how they're always going to treat me. Rather be at my dad's where no one's yelling or treating me like shit. My dad kept asking if that's what I really wanted. Made me think about it a few more days, and I still felt the same. I'm here at my dad's already. Nobody wants to talk to me, but they're already going to see about changing the custody agreement. My mum says she won't force me to stay if I'd rather go live with trash. Exactly like that. I'm trying to not let it get to me. At least now it's more peaceful. I'm glad I didn't let them force me to change my name. It's shitty now, but at least I'm glad I'm not at that house anymore. I wanted to do this for a while, but I was too scared. But you guys were right. She would have been mad anyways, and nothing was going to make the situation better, so at least better to get out of there already. Thank you all for showing me how fucked up this whole situation has been, making me feel okay about it, still wanting to keep my name. Things are for sure more calm here, with my dad and his boyfriend at their place. So Mum, I can't believe Mum's turned around and turned into the bad guy in this situation after their dad was the one who cheated in the original story, and it's just like, oh man, it's such a shame. The mum hasn't sinned like, I'm hurting my own child here. I'm damaging my own child by talking about dad like that. And yeah, mum doesn't have to like dad. Mum doesn't have to like dad in this situation. I mean, for God's sake, he cheated on her, so of course she's not going to like him. But to talk about him in front of children, when there are children in the middle, is what I'm saying. It's just, come on, man. But now, what do you guys make of this story? It wasn't the positive update I was looking for. I mean, it's positive in some ways that OP, is getting out of the situation where they're being treated shitty. So that is a small positive, isn't it, overall, I guess? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll move on to another story. And our next story comes from Effective Fig. Am I the arsehole for not kissing my infant son goodnight? My wife and I have a 3-month-old son together, whom we both love. Recently, she has been getting upset that I don't kiss my son goodnight, and that I should also do whenever I leave the house. She's argued that it has health benefits for him, and that it's a good way of forming a strong bond between us. I can be awkward socially, especially when physical contact is involved, but I do try to make the effort for my wife, who is much more open emotionally. I've argued that I don't need to kiss him routinely, and that I already do it when I feel close to my son, which is admittedly far less often than she does it. Am I missing something here? I've tried asking her to explain to me why it's so important, and I've tried searching online for an answer, but to no avail. We argued about it last night, and today I caught her crying about it. We discussed it again and ended up in another argument, again with no resolution. We are currently not talking. Am I the arsehole for not kissing my infant son every night? And there's some info which OP adds, and I think it's after a couple of the comments, but we'll cover the info straight away just in case. So info says, a couple of people have asked me to explain why I don't want to kiss him goodnight, so I'll try and explain as briefly as I can. I understand the value of saying goodnight to a child, and I'm happy to do that, including stories in the future, etc. I just feel awkward kissing him just because it's bedtime. I want to kiss him when I get the urge to, as it feels more genuine to me. My father was not overly physically affectionate when I was growing up, so I know I mostly get it from there. I do think that I've come far, but I feel that this is just a barrier too far for me. Also, just to be clear, we don't argue in front of our son. Edit, thanks for all the feedback. I've read through it all and thought it over. I will try and make an effort to kiss him more often, and hopefully I'll get used to it. And obviously we can see where the comments are going to go already just from that edit, but my thought from that info is, and I may be looking into this one a bit too deep, but it says my father was not overly physically affectionate with me when I was growing up, so I know I mostly get it from there. And I don't know whether he's calling that as a negative thing or not, but it kind of felt like it a little bit to me. And it's like, well, if you look at that in a negative light, that your father wasn't showing you affection growing up, why would you do this to your own child? Obviously, OP doesn't know too much about it, but when I was growing up and my parents showed me affection, hugs, kissing, all that sort of stuff, it creates that bond with your parents, and I think it's extremely important. Obviously, not everyone's going to like showing affection and stuff like that, which, is okay, but showing affection to your children does create that bond and creates happiness within that child and stuff like that. But again, I could be wrong here. So we'll go to the comments, because I'm sure from the edit we're going to find out a lot more. So Hoagie Mama says, I don't know if I want to include a judgment, but I will point to you that you have gotten in multiple arguments with your wife because you refuse to kiss your baby. All she wants you to give him a goodbye and goodnight kisses. Why are you so resistant to be affectionate towards the baby? If you can make an effort to be physically affectionate to your wife, it seems logical that you make the same effort with your baby. Babette says, honestly, going a different direction here than most of the comments, I'm going to say you're the arsehole. Showing physical affection to a child isn't a matter of personal preference. It is developmentally important for the child. Children who are denied physical affection suffer serious mental and physical issues. A lot of replies are acting like this is a matter of personal opinion. It's not. Your child's development, behavior, brain chemistry are all affected by lack of touch. We know for a fact, scientifically, that denying the child physical affection from one or both parents will negatively impact their well-being. Many commenters seem to not be familiar with the science here and are making inappropriate recommendations. This is not optional for a parent. Your preferences simply aren't as important as the child being healthy and well adjusted. It is your responsibility as the parent to show your child both emotional and physical affection, not to mention critical for a healthy attachment bond. I feel awkward is not okay. You need to go to therapy if the issue is as serious as you claim, or get over yourself and learn how to love your child. And we have a couple more comments from Abazaba, who says, okay, if somehow you can't stomach a kiss, how about a hug? Press your forehead to his, smush your cheek into his little cheek. Your wife is looking for a visible sign that you feel affection for your son. Find something other than a kiss to establish a physical bond with him. And one more from Quantum Pussy, who says, and quotes, I can be awkward socially, especially when physical contact is involved, but I do try to make the effort for my wife, which is much more open emotionally. Then says, you'll make an effort for your wife, but not your child. Why not? And quotes again saying, I've argued that I don't need to kiss him routinely. Then says, can you explain your argument to us? What have you got against kissing him? Now, what are your thoughts on this story? Bit of a different one there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and we'll move on to the next one. And our next story comes from Sufficient Database 15. Am I the arsehole for reacting to my mum's engagement by calling her immature and selfish? I used to have a great relationship with my mum until I started dating my now wife. Just the typical bullshit. My mum doesn't like new people coming into her life, hard time with change, doesn't like to share. My mum can be passive aggressive and my wife can be a bit vicious. They both made mistakes, but I would like to say my mum was worse, or at the very least, my mum was better at it. Obviously, this took a toll on the relationship. Right before we got engaged, my mum told me that my dad was cheating. My mum is extremely emotionally closed off, and it is literally a goal in life to come off as having no feelings. So I knew she was going to put on a show in public and try and play it off that she didn't care. But she was upset and humiliated. I told my wife because, to me, partners just don't have secrets, and it was a stressor in my life as well. My mum found out that my wife knew about a year later because my wife said something about, I went easy on you for a year because I knew you were going through a bad time, but I'm done with that. My mum got pissed at me for telling my wife and went low contact with us. She said she couldn't be around my wife knowing that my wife knew, and she lost all respect for me because I am not an autonomous person. I feel like she did stuff to punish me. She moved and didn't tell me until I was coming over one day, and she had to give me the new address. She never really introduced me when she got a serious boyfriend. The other day, we were at a family event and my sister was talking to my mum about weddings, and she should have one. My mum saying it's bad etiquette to have a second wedding, and my sister was saying it would be fun. I didn't even realise it was a serious conversation until my mum's boyfriend/fiancé said, of course she should have one. I then noticed the ring and asked if she was engaged. She said yes, for 2 months. I asked why she didn't tell me, and my mum replied that I lost the right to be someone she calls and tells things. I can learn about her life if and when her Facebook friends do. I'm not sure that we're even friends on Facebook, and she never posts anyway. I call her spiteful, selfish, and immature. I can kind of get bad news because she doesn't want my wife to know. But she doesn't even tell me the stuff she's excited about, so I feel like that it is a punishment. Her fiancé told me not to talk to her like that, so I just walked away. My sister called me up, called me a huge arsehole, and said I didn't even congratulate them, and that if my feelings are hurt, it's just because I reaped what I sowed, and I have no right to be mad at anyone but myself. And we'll start with a no to cocktail on this one saying you're the arsehole, and you are right, your wife is vicious. Your mum brought you into a circle of trust, and then not only did you tell your wife, kind of understandable, I don't know, but then she used it as ammo against your mum solely to hurt her. Why should your mum entrust you with any private info? It's only going to be used as ammo by your wife. I would have said the above doesn't make you fully the arsehole, but your outburst did. Spiteful, selfish, and immature is going way too far. You've blatantly refused to acknowledge the, probably, ridiculous pain your wife caused her, based on you breaking her trust. It's not a punishment, it's a consequence. Glenn Coco69 says, you're the arsehole. Listen man, I think it's great that you and your wife have an open door policy when it comes to communication. But you telling them about what was going on with your parents? Not okay. It was not your information to give, which is why your mother put you on an information diet. You said it yourself, your mother literally works to keep herself emotionally contained. Most people like that don't like for their personal information being out like that, and I feel like you're even more the arsehole because I have a strong feeling you knew that. Darth Vader's Banana says, info. You literally say your wife is the problem in the comments, but your mother shouldn't cut you off because she's a mother, and she's easier to control. OP, are you alright? It sounds like you're becoming increasingly isolated from your family because of your wife's behaviour, and your assertions that that's just how she is are concerning. What is your wife like at home? Is she also vicious there? To which OP replied, no, she's the sweetest person, but she takes no shit. My mum started this drama. Gloom Picnic says, you're the arsehole, you broke your mum's trust and it sounds like you let your wife treat her horribly. She does not need to keep you updated on her life after you and your wife have shown her continuous disrespect. Mandadian says, you're the arsehole, you know your wife is vicious and vindictive, yet you shared a very personal piece of information about your parents with her. I can understand not wanting to have secrets in a relationship, but this was not your secret to share. I don't blame mum for going low contact with you and no longer sharing personal information with you. You proved you can't be trusted, and now this is the consequence of that. And one more from Daisy Inc. who says, you're the arsehole, I'll take your word for it that your mum said some pretty horrible and uncalled for things to your wife. But it seems like that was a two-way thing and you chose to take your wife's side due to personal preference. Not because she was the bigger person. You said she was less harsh, but it certainly doesn't seem like it was from lack of trying. Anyway, given your preference, you then told your wife something very personal and hurtful about your mum for no reason, knowing full well your mum is a very guarded person, and that her and your wife don't get along, which your wife then used against her. Of course she doesn't want to open up to you anymore. You said yourself, you tell your wife everything, and also take her side, so why would your mum want to give people more ammo to use against her? Then quotes, I called her spiteful, selfish, and immature. What does that make your wife then for rubbing salt in her wounds for her ex-husband cheating? If your only justification is that your mum has said worse, know that that doesn't mean what your wife does isn't any less spiteful, selfish or immature, and you're fully enabling her. It sounds like you used to be a huge mama's boy, then just became fully subservient to the new woman in your life once your wife came along. And you let them both be vicious to each other because you did not or could not put your foot down and tell them to grow up. Now, what is your thoughts on this story and your thoughts on all of today's stories? As always, I would love to know in the comments below if you have a moment of your time to share them, of course. And if you can, it'd be hugely helpful if you could click that like button if you did enjoy today's content. If you didn't, don't worry about it. You don't have to click that like button either. You don't have to do it anyway. Thank you so much for your love, support, and time towards the channel, and I will see you in the next one. And don't forget, just above right now, there's a playlist that you can just go through all the stories if you want to. Much love, guys.